Hi, this is Community Services and Upcoming Events. We have a great show today, and I'm knee-deep in the Lackawanna River. And if anybody ever told me back in '78, when I was 9 years old, that I would ever be knee-deep in the Lackawanna River, I would have said, you're crazy. The Lackawanna River was known as the Lackey. It was a dark brown, there was sewage, there was carts, there was tires, there was debris, you name it, the disease was in this river. Well, a great man came along and started to pull those carts out and started to revitalize the river and start to get all the yuck out and making sure that the sewers weren't connected to the river and getting rid of all of the waste from the coal mining of the past, and remembering that that scarring could be taken away because water is life and life is water. And that's why I'm here knee-deep in the Lackawanna River today, because it's clean, it's beautiful, it's got award-winning brown trout. They have canoe races. They've got a beautiful beach where we're at right now at Sweeney Beach, and we have great trails just above me. In the 1970s, you wouldn't want to go on a trail near this river because the smell was outrageous. I used to visit my grandmother's house, and we'd have to go down Albright Avenue and go over the bridge, and it was a metal bridge, and for those of you that are in your 50s and 60s, the bridge made like a weird noise when you went onto it. I used to have my mother roll the window down. I want to look at the river, and she would do it. But as soon as we got past it, she would roll it back up because the smell was immense. Today it's beautiful, it's wonderful, and it's a key part of Lackawanna County and what Lackawanna County is. It's a great community to live in, and we have great opportunities for your recreational needs. Now today, I'd like to introduce Old Man River himself, LRCA Executive Director Bernie McGurl, who's our guest today, and my co-host, Joe Holland. And we're here, and we're going to bring a few other guests on. We're going to be talking about the Lackawanna River. We're going to talk about how you can donate. We're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to talk about some of the events. And we're going to talk about what the impact the Lackawanna River and its trail have had on the community during the coronavirus. Because there's lots of social distancing out on the trail. There's lots of opportunities to fish and enjoy the Lackawanna River. And you can do this every day. And you know what it is? It's free. At this time, I'd like to introduce Bernie McGurl to say a few words about the river.
Hey, Pat.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. We're standing at Sweeney's Beach along the Lackawanna River, which is the Pennsylvania River of the Year for 2020. And it's a great honor. It's a competition that we get involved in. And we won statewide. We had over 8,500 votes, and we've got the River of the Year designation. So we were looking forward. We got the news in January. We were looking forward to a whole year's worth of activities and getting people together, getting out, doing hikes, doing bike rides, our River Fest, which was usually held Mother's Day weekend, and then we were going to have a paddle sojourn on the river a little bit after that, and it all had to get canceled because of the national global emergency. But we're still engaging with people up and down the river, and we have a lot of virtual activities which I could talk about, and we've got some plans hopefully as we get into a more green phase into the later summer and into the fall. We're looking to have some type of Riverfest event here because we have our duck race every year, and we want to do that, and so we're looking at Saturday, September 26th as the potential date, and we'll be making a decision a little bit later in the summer as we see how the success goes in dealing with the pandemic locally within the confines of the public health guidelines that we need to be observant of. So, but right now, you can paddle the river. We have a virtual kayak paddle event going on. You just get out, paddle the river. It's a little low today. It's probably down about 2.2. But we have two courses. You can run from Archibald and from Scranton down here. This is the finish line. People want to look. This virtual kayak challenge is opened all during the month of June. So if we get rain, and we're expecting some heavy rain tomorrow on Thursday, the river will be up over the weekend, and there'll be some good paddle opportunities. We also have a street sweeping contest underway. If you haven't swept your street yet in front of your home, you've got an opportunity to win $100 in our street sweeping contest. So all the rules for both of those events are posted on www.lrca.org on our website, and there's references on our Facebook page. We have a whole bunch of other activities planned. This coming Saturday, June 13th, we're going to have a River and Trail Stewardship Day and cleanup up on the Providence reach of the Heritage Trail. We're meeting at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Market Street trailhead right near Market Street, the former Rudy's Wrecking Auto Parts salvage yard. It's now going to become a trailhead for the trail. We acquired that property earlier this year.
What's the phone number if anybody wanted to call or they wanted to check out the website?
They could give us a call, Pat, at the LRCA office. We're at 570-347-6311. Or they could email us at lrca@lrca.org.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce John Morrow, who's on the board of the LRCA and the LVC, Lackawanna Valley Conservancy. And John, taking up from that, how else can you view the activities of the LRCA and LVC?
Well, I think they work together to have a greenway, a combination trail and river corridor through the valley that people can enjoy for outdoor recreation, which is a vital part of our economy, with the anglers who come here for the wonderful trout fishing, the paddling, which we'd like to see more of on the river, and just these facilities such as Sweeney's Beach. You know, we're dog friendly down here. Folks love to bring the dogs out, get some air, especially during these times with the lockdown. Everything's shut. There's other options that people don't realize in their own backyard, which is to go out and enjoy the Lackawanna River, the trail system, all these wonderful park areas along the river, and just the great outdoors of the valley here.
Okay, now a lot of times this organization is viewed as strictly ecological, but actually it goes beyond that, because you don't just clean the river. You don't just put a big coffee filter in there and strain it out. So let's talk a little bit, Vern, about how you have to work with, let's say, developers of various types, perhaps the situation in Old Forge.
Yeah, okay. Well, Joe, we have a river that's 50 to 60 miles long. It runs through 4 counties. Most of it's in Lackawanna County, but we've got a legacy of abandoned mine activity where for 150 years we dug coal out of the ground. That was one of the major pollutants of the river. Down in Old Forge, we have a borehole that was drilled into the riverbed by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in 1961. When the mine shut down, they all flooded, and water was flooding out the hillsides and damaging a lot of property. So they had to relieve the pressure and lower the water. There's a huge subterranean lake in the flooded mine voids underneath the city. If you can imagine the subways under Manhattan, some of them are caved in, but they're all filled with water. That's what we have under the Lackawanna Valley, and we've studied it, and we've learned that there's about 3 times the volume of Lake Wallenpaupack in the mines underneath Scranton and Carbondale. And again, probably another 3 times that volume down underneath Wilkes-Barre. So it's an incredible water resources. But when it comes into the river, it's called mine drainage, and it carries minerals, mostly iron and manganese, and some trace elements of zinc and copper. And it stains the riverbed down in Old Forge orange. And we've studied the Old Forge borehole. We've put instruments down it. We've had other organizations studying it in partnership with us. We've got some private sector partners that want to build a mine water treatment plant down there. So we did a study in 2011 called the Lower Lackawanna River Watershed Restoration and Assessment Plan. And you can find it on our website at www.lrca.org under our publications page. But we spent 2 years working with the Susquehanna River Basin Commission and the Eastern Pennsylvania Coalition for Abandoned Mine Reclamation. And we learned that the Old Forge borehole is probably the largest source of abandoned mine drainage on the entire continent of North America. And it pretty much kills the lower 3 miles of the Lackawanna River. There's very little fishing down there. The water quality is not good, and the water smells like sulfur, and there's an orange residue from the iron oxide particulates that just drop and form a sludge on the bottom of the river. So we're looking at getting that cleaned up and producing clean water, and there's a wide variety of industrial applications that we're looking at down there with some private sector partners, and we're hoping to see a major announcement on that as an economic development initiative right halfway between Scranton and Wilkes-Barre a little bit later this year. But we're really excited about the potential for getting that site cleaned up.
Okay, Bern, now I'd like to switch topics slightly. It has to do with more of your work with developers, commercial interest, so on and so forth. And we have had for several years a site down in Old Forge known as Misty Ridge. So I'm going to first ask you how we came to have that. What led up to that?
Okay. Well, Misty Ridge is formerly the Old Forge Colliery of the Pennsylvania Coal Company, and it was one of the numerous abandoned mine sites that were just abandoned when the mining industry just packed up their bags and went away in the 1960s. So this 30-acre site had some reclamation done on it. There was a huge coal breaker there that burnt down in the late 1960s, and the rest of the site was just left in derelict condition. They used to wash the coal, so they had a pond that was built along the floodplain along the bank of the river, and that pond, every time it rained real heavy, all this black powdery silt would form a sludge and just get washed down into the river. So it was a real bad pollution source. The property was bought by a developer, and Old Forge Borough Planning Commission suggested that he contact us, and he did so, and we worked with him and former Congressman Ken Jaworski at the time to secure some federal cleanup funds, and we matched that with some state cleanup funds, and to do so, though, he had to actually convey some of the property. We had to be the owners of some of the property. So we took ownership of the sludge basin, and everybody wants to own a sludge basin, don't they? But we cleaned it up, and it is now a stormwater management pond for a potential development on the site. But as we finished that, it was during the last recession in 2008-2010. He couldn't get money for the development, and we now got the property on the market. So we're assisting him trying to market it. It's got a range. It's got either industrial, residential, or commercial opportunities. It's right on the river, and so we're looking at is a potential site for solar generation, solar electric. We recently acquired a 5-acre site adjacent to it called the Lehigh Electric site, which is a Superfund site.
Another lovely site that we've acquired.
Both of them together. So we cleaned up the Misty Ridge site. The state and actually the EPA, this was the first Superfund site in the region that was cleaned up in the 1980s. And so we discovered that it was available. The previous owners went into bankruptcy, and actually the owner of the site that caused all the problems passed away. So his family stopped paying taxes on it, and it was the property was taken over by the tax board, tax claim agency. So we approached them and approached the commissioners, and we said we'd like to acquire this property and work with EPA and DEP on a management plan for it. It's already been cleaned up, but nobody can do anything with it commercially, but it is available to be developed for conservation and recreation uses. So we're looking at, we've got a big gravel bar down there. It's bigger than Sweeney's Beach. So we would like to create another facility like Sweeney's Beach down at this Misty Ridge site in Old Forge. It's right along by Bridge Street, and you can see the gravel bar when you're on Lonesome Road over on the other side of the river. So it'll make a 10 or 12 acre recreation site. Eventually it's going to become a trailhead for the Lackawanna River Heritage Trail, and we're working with the Heritage Authority to find other properties to get right away for the trail, to link the trail southward through the lower part of Lackawanna County into Pittston and down into the trails in Luzerne County.
Okay, now I'd like to just take a little sidetrack on that, talking about what amounts to brownfields, the spoiled land, which Lackawanna County has plenty of, even though fortunately much of it is looking green now. It's not what you would call ideal green. And so I'm going to switch over to John Morrow and ask him to talk a little bit about what feeds into the river, how do we protect the river in that sense. John.
Okay, so as Bernie mentioned, the Old Forge borehole is the major source of any pollutants, contaminants for the river. we ultimately feed into the Susquehanna River, Chesapeake Bay. We have a complex watershed with many small tributaries that feed into the Lackawanna River. Many of them are on or alongside of former coal mining and processing facilities. We have many locations where the LRCA has, and its sister organization, we should mention the Lackawanna Valley Conservancy.
Yeah.
That is our landholding branch. We are one organization with two separate branches. And many of these LVC properties are as well part of the Heritage Trail. And we have these new facilities that we're looking to develop along the river. We'd like to see more landings, launch sites for paddling. It's a wonderful activity to be out on the river. And we are working on remediation. As we say, Pat, believe me, there are still tires and shopping carts and everything else for us to pull out. It's an ongoing battle, much like the Japanese knotweed that we battle constantly along the river here. So we've actually been establishing the Lackawanna River Conservation Association's Conservation Corps. And our mission is to get out and do remediation, restoration work along the river and many of these sites and tributaries. We're working on a project up in North Scranton at Leggett's Creek that would really be a wonderful asset to the neighborhood and the whole community. And we're also now getting into doing, we have a plant rescue, nursery, and planting program. And we get out where there will be development. We go through, remove any beneficial species, indigenous and other various plants and trees, especially trees that take years to grow. We can salvage them, save them, replant them. We have some of them down here at Sweeney's Beach. And these programs are fantastic. We're always looking for volunteers to come out. You learn a bit. Our colleague Paul Bechtel is a fantastic source of knowledge on these issues. And it's a lot of fun. It's a great way for the community to get involved.
Okay, we are not a lone wolf organization, by the way. I would just like to mention, at least quickly, for example, that we partner with many other organizations, most notably Trout Unlimited, of which two of our directors are Charlie Charlesworth and Mike Kashuba, who have had a lot to do with this site, and the Lackawanna Heritage Valley, who often when you're on one of their trails, you're actually walking on LVC, LRCA property.
I would just like to talk about the fact that it's a work in progress. It really is. The LRCA is a work in progress all the time. But the big thing I want to really get across today is with the coronavirus and the pandemic, and you know, we went from red to yellow, but we're still practicing social distancing because we're still concerned about this situation because it's really horrible and 105,000 people have died. But I want to get back to Bernie. Bernie, let's talk about the river and all the good things that people can do on the river without standing next to each other or standing on top of each other.
Well, we're a little bit close here, but we've got our masks on. We are, as I said, we've got the virtual kayak paddle event, which anybody can get out, and you and your spouse, or family member from your own household, and maybe meet a couple other friends and keep your distance at one of the parks in the Mid-Valley to launch, to come down here or up at Parker Street launch area and Sweeney's Beach, and there's plenty of room to keep your distance from one another. So we're encouraging that. Folks are out hiking the trails and bicycling all over the trails, and not just down here in the valley, but our other big partner is the Rail Trail Council of Northeast Pennsylvania. And with the Rail Trail, we own the old D&H rail bed that ran from Carbondale up into New York State. We own it all the way up to the New York State line at Lanesboro, and we're working with our partner, the Rail Trail Council. That effectively gives us control of the entire riverbank in the upper Lackawanna watershed from Simpson up through Forest City to Uniondale and on up to the headwaters in Ararat and Herrick Township. So we have a lot of positive work up there. The trail has been rebuilt with a pipeline project last year, and if you want to do some great bicycling or hiking, get on the Rail Trail website and check out Rail Trail Council of Northeast Pennsylvania. We've got 30 miles of trail from Carbondale up to New York State line up there. So lots of opportunities to get involved, and as I said before, we have the street sweeping contest. So if you'd like to get out, take a couple pictures of the litter and debris. If you've got some grit from last winter, some leaves in the gutter, sweep the street in front of your house. Get on our website, register, send us some pictures, and we're gonna pick one of the people that submits, and they'll get a $100 first prize, $50 second prize, $25 third prize, and your choice of a new rake or broom. So lots of things to get involved with. Check out the LRCA on Facebook, and check us out at our website, www.lrca.org.
So Bernie, there's a lot going on. So we've got fishing, we've got sightseeing, you've got bird watching, you've got a trail that you can walk your dog, you could run, you could ride your bike.
Yep.
There's so much to do.
Yep.
And like you said, this is all things you can practice with social distancing. You can get out and really enjoy Lackawanna County and really enjoy the river. Today it's 90-some degrees. The river, there's a beautiful breeze that's coming off the river. It's really, really nice. Now Bernie, let's talk about some other things. How do you donate or become a member? Like, you know, like there's things out there, you always need money because you have so many projects, they're always ongoing, there's only so many grants, but there's money that you need to go between one to the other.
Yeah,
How do they help out?
we need people to join us for membership. They can visit our website, and there's a donate button right on the front page of our website. So they can press that. You can make a contribution through your credit card. It's a secure site. It goes right into our bank account, and you'll share your information. You'll get on our email list. So when we're doing activities, everybody's going to get an email. You'll also get notices on Facebook. You can join us as a friend on Facebook. If we have your phone number, we can send out text messages as well. So there's lots of ways to keep informed about what we're doing and to support our work. We have a small staff. There's 3 of us on staff part-time, and we have an office up in North Scranton, the 2043 North Main Avenue. It's actually an old church and rectory, and as John said, through our conservancy, we actually own 200 acres of land. So we have a lot of responsibilities to make sure we have insurance. We have to patrol and protect that land. We need to get volunteer stewards out there, but there's grass to be cut. We need to pay for gas for the mowers. We have a lot of responsibilities up and down this 350 square mile watershed. So the money comes from the community, and we're able to multiply that, turn it into grants, turn it into partnership opportunities with some of the other organizations that we work with to combine some grants that they might have and some support for their staff services, so we can multiply the effect of having a number of people working on projects to get the paperwork done, and then get volunteers out there to augment that, and work with the community to get the donations that we need, financial donations, as well as if you're a business. I'm always looking for guys with backhoes, or skid steer loaders or small dump trucks to help us out on some of the trail maintenance projects. So if you've got one of those, you're interested, give us a call.
So like there's all different opportunities for people to donate, whether it's resources, finances, you're always looking.
We're looking for, we have always got our hand out. Sometimes I'll be walking down the street, people see me coming and look on the other side now. I'm just kidding.
That's because you care. And when you care, you know what I mean, it's just in you, and wherever you're at, you're going to talk about it because it's part of who you are.
I think, you know, we've had our hand out for a long time. We've been doing this work for 33 years. So we're not just a flash in the pan. We've been here, we're committed, we're part of the community, and we're going to be here. It's time for another generation. We got some gray hair going on here. So we want to transition our staff. I'm the executive director. We're hoping to get me retired in the next couple of years and get somebody about 30 years younger in these shoes right here. We need help to do that. We need funding to help pay for a salary that's going to be competitive with a lot of other organizations in the region, and so we're looking for help.
So just good intentions won't cover it. In other words, if you want to acquire land, if you want to be able to, in one fashion or another, if you want to be able to have adequate equipment to keep land proper, to plant, so on and so forth, we need money, volunteers, members, and just good word of mouth even, okay? Some of our things are almost invisible because of the nature of them. They're just basically land, parts of the river, so to speak, so on and so forth. So we don't always come up with high visibility. And I think, Bern, we could mention that we do, without getting into particulars, I think that we could mention that we have hopes of acquiring some more land, some of it not so pretty, so to speak, and some of it very pretty.
Yeah, we're pretty unique in the conservation area because we've got land that is pristine, beautiful mountain watershed land, and we've also got Superfund sites and abandoned mine dumps. But we're looking over the next few years to be working with a couple economic development agencies on a major conservation acquisition on Music Mountain up in the Mid-Valley. We have other long-term needs for the acquisition of several other thousands of acres of conservation land along the Music and West Mountain ranges and out in the Roaring Brook and Springbrook watersheds. So anybody that's got land that is looking to engage conservation activities on those lands, give us a call. We can work with you.
And now I'd like to ask Pat, as a former public official, what's it look like for budgets, grants, so on and so forth? I think the public itself is going to have to be more involved. What would you say?
I think that everything is tightened up because of the coronavirus, and there's monies that are utilized in so many different ways that were never part of the original budgets for most of the governments. At this point, I think donations are going to be a huge thing for the LRCA. I think that the more they can be given, the better. Corporate sponsors, banks, you name it, they need it. And like Bernie said, none of this is free, and there will be grants and there'll be opportunities, but you need those donations just for regular daily stuff and daily work. And even if it's not finances, if it's skidster or volunteering, all that stuff really matters, because you can see how beautiful the river is and what a great opportunity is for all of us to be able to enjoy the Lackawanna River. You know, like I said before, you know, water is life and life is water. And this river was scarred so badly, and now it's, Bernie, it's the best river in the country?
Well, I think so.
I believe it's the best, but what it was because I was a commissioner, I'm a former commissioner, and back in late fall, we were talking to people about voting for the Lackawanna River being one of the best rivers around. So,
yeah, well, as I said earlier, it is the River of the Year for 2020 for Pennsylvania, which is a great designation. We were hoping to have Secretary Dunn from DCNR come up for a little ceremony in the springtime, but hopefully maybe she can get up in the fall. We're good friends, the Secretary and I. We've been working on environmental and conservation issues going back to the 1980s in Pennsylvania. So I'd like to get Cindy up here, and maybe the river will be deep enough that we could do a paddle in the fall. But it's a Class A trout fishery, one of the most popular trout fisheries in the Northeast region. We got people coming here from all over the Middle Atlantic states to go fishing and do fly fishing in this river, because we got big trout. Nice. We got big 20-inch, 24-inch native trout that live in this river, and it's a great resource for paddling, for recreation, and having a lot of fun and just enjoying yourself.
I just want to hit upon this before we close. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is a big state. It's huge. It's monstrous. The Commonwealth is huge. How many rivers were we against to get that designation?
Well, we had 5 that we were up against. A couple of them were big creeks, and our main rival was, curiously, Buffalo Creek north of Pittsburgh, and their sponsor agency was the Western Pennsylvania Audubon Society. So we had every bird watcher in Western Pennsylvania that was voting for their creek, and we reached out all over Northeast Pennsylvania and down into the Harrisburg and York and Philadelphia areas, and we got votes down in Maryland and Virginia, because we're part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed. So we work with a lot of groups down there, and we got a lot of folks from Baltimore and Washington, D.C. that voted for us, and down along the Chesapeake Bay. So yeah, we had a big, it was like a political campaign, Pat.
It was.
It was a lot of fun. It was more fun than I thought it was going to be. And this was the 3rd time. It was our 3rd go-round, so.
It's going to be number 1.
Yeah. So we won this year. We obviously are not going to be River of the Year in any time soon in the next 20 years.
Well,
but
2020, that works for us, Lackawanna River.
Yeah. It's sort of a great honor and a challenge, for this crazy time in everybody's life. But knowing that all the work that we've done over the last 33 years here, and even our predecessor group before us, Northeast PA Environmental Council, all the work that was done in the 70s by our municipalities to create our sewer treatment plants, and all the work that we did. It's a great honor to be the River of the Year, and we're going to celebrate it as much as we can.
Good.
Yeah.
It's a great year for the river. Before we close, any last thoughts?
Well, always.
You've covered a lot of stuff in 27 minutes.
We have. We've got great need, and donations are always appreciated. And we've got a generational leadership change that we've got to engender over the next couple years. So I'm looking to talk to people and get folks involved in the future of the Lackawanna River.
Bernie, thank you for being here. John, thank you. Thank you, Joel, for being the co-host. This is community services and upcoming events. Make sure you get out and enjoy the beautiful Lackawanna River.